Guys, help me out. Smash that like button and leave a comment on the video. Hey everyone, it's me, Sheriff Labrador. Today we're going to face different challenges and parkour levels to save people from Evil Steve from Minecraft, who has captured everyone and keeps them in fear. Dobie, say hello.
Hi friends, it's me, Dobie. And as Labrador said, today we'll be facing trials and protecting people from Evil Steve from Minecraft. It's not going to be an easy mission, but I'm sure we can handle it, right, Labrador?
The first challenge will be a parkour over tin blocks that look like ventilation shafts. Dobie, you ready?
Yes, Labrador. That challenge was way too easy. Let's move on to the next one.
In the second challenge, we need to press a button to make platforms appear that we have to jump across. The most important thing, don't fall.
Oh, Labrador, these challenges are too easy so far. I wonder what's coming next.
In the third challenge, we have to run away from Steve from Minecraft, but before that, we need to press a button. Otherwise, the vent won't open and Steve will catch us.
Run, Labrador! He's catching up to us!
Phew, Dobie, that was intense. Luckily, we managed to escape him, a serious opponent.
I agree, Labrador, but let's not relax. We need to keep going.
After exiting the ventilation, we need to grab a shovel and dig our way down. That's where the next challenge awaits us.
In the next challenge, we have to parkour over a huge chasm filled with boiling lava. Just don't fall in.
Whew, we made it, Dobie. Now we have to dodge a giant rolling boulder heading right at us. Just a bit more, and we cleared this level.
Labrador, oh no! Steve is back again, and he wants to catch us. If we don't turn the wheel to open the door, he's going to catch us.
This day started like any other. The city was waking up, and Dobie and I were going through the morning reports. But soon, the peace was broken by a call. The dispatcher's voice was tense. There were reports of strange events at the central hospital. Patients were disappearing. Nurses spoke of a mysterious sheriff who had taken control of the institution. And the strangest part, this sheriff looked exactly like me. Dobie and I exchanged glances. This couldn't be a coincidence. I had heard stories about doppelgangers, but I never thought I would encounter one myself. We got into the car and headed to the hospital.
When we arrived, the hospital looked deserted. The large glass doors were locked, and behind them, we could only see dim, flickering lights. No patients, no staff, as if the whole place had been abandoned. Posters with Labrador's face hung on the walls, but something was off about them. His eyes looked cold, and his smile, menacing. We cautiously stepped inside. The hallways were dark, the lights flickered, and the air smelled of chemicals. Cameras were everywhere, watching our every move. We had to figure out what was going on.
We moved forward carefully, scanning our surroundings. I could feel that we were being watched. Suddenly, a nurse appeared from around the corner. He looked terrified and whispered that we had to leave while we still could. According to him, the other sheriff had locked all the patients and staff in the basement and had taken over the main office. This was a challenge we couldn't ignore. We headed for the staircase leading down, but as soon as we opened the door, the sound of footsteps filled the corridor. Several guards in black uniforms with patches bearing my own emblem emerged from the shadows. They didn't look friendly.
We knew there would be no talking our way out of this. The guards lunged at us, but we were ready. Labrador threw his baton at one of them, while I used my strength to shove another straight into the wall. The rest hesitated, giving us the chance to break through to the basement. We rushed down the narrow stairs. The air grew heavier. It smelled of age and metal. Rusty pipes lined the walls. Water dripped from the ceiling. Soon, we reached a locked door. Behind it, we heard muffled voices. People were inside.
The door was secured with a massive lock. I glanced around and spotted a toolbox. Grabbing a crowbar, I swung hard at the lock. It gave way with a screech. The door burst open, revealing dozens of frightened but unharmed patients and doctors. They ran toward us, begging to be saved from the false sheriff. I told them to stay put until we dealt with the main threat. We had to find my double.
We climbed to the top floor, where the main office was located. The door was slightly ajar, and we stepped inside. There, in the center of the spacious office, stood my partner's evil twin. He looked exactly like Labrador, except for his eyes. They were dark, lifeless, like empty voids. A strange badge hung from his chest, glowing with a faint red light. He looked at us and smiled. We realized this wasn't just an imposter. This was something inhuman. He didn't speak, but his gaze made it clear he wouldn't let us leave so easily.
He attacked. I barely managed to dodge as his paw slammed into the desk, leaving a deep dent. This me was stronger than any ordinary beast. Dobie tried to sneak up behind him, but with a single motion, the doppelganger flung him aside. I had to find a way to stop him. I noticed that the badge on his chest glowed brighter whenever he attacked. Maybe that was the source of his power.
I understood what Labrador was thinking. We had to remove that badge. I lunged forward, pretending to go for his face, while Labrador leaped from above, grabbed the badge, and yanked it with all his strength. A dull crack echoed through the room. The false sheriff froze. Then his body began to tremble. Awareness flickered in his eyes before he simply dissolved into the air, leaving behind only the metallic badge, now dull and lifeless.
As soon as he vanished, the hospital began to change. The lights brightened, the cameras stopped tracking us, and the eerie silence was replaced by the sounds of voices. We knew the spell or technology that kept people in fear had been broken. Doctors and patients emerged from the basement, cautiously looking around. They were free. We knew it was over.
Once everything calmed down, we stepped outside. The sky was already lightening. Night was over. I looked at Labrador and smirked. We had seen a lot, but nothing like this before. But before we could get into the car, a new call came in. The dispatcher reported strange occurrences happening in the city again. We exchanged glances and started the engine.
Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Our battle will be legendary. The corridor trembled with each impact. Every door concealed the unknown, and we had no idea where the next attack would come from. The lights flickered, strange noises echoed from the ventilation shafts, and the scent of antiseptic mixed with something far more sinister. I could feel it. My doppelganger was toying with us, luring us into a trap. We reached the operating room. The massive metal doors slid open slowly, revealing a chamber filled with surgical instruments hanging from the ceiling and tables draped in dusty sheets. And in the center of it all, he stood, my dark reflection, wearing a twisted grin and staring with cold, empty eyes. He didn't attack immediately. He was waiting, savoring our hesitation. That's when I realized this wasn't just a copy. He could read my thoughts, anticipate my every move. This was me, stripped of conscience, devoid of principles, without mercy.
I saw Labrador freeze for a moment, assessing the situation. The double looked just like him, but something was deeply wrong. He moved like a shadow, his presence felt unnatural, and when he spoke, his voice seemed to pierce through the air itself. And then he struck. His movements were lightning fast, his attacks precise. I tried to intervene, but he dodged effortlessly, predicting my every action. It felt like a nightmare, the kind where your enemy is always faster, always ahead. We tried every technique we knew, but he countered them with ease, as if he had already seen the battle play out in his mind. The only way to win was to outsmart him, to make him believe in a false move.
The corridor trembled with each impact. Every door concealed the unknown, and we had no idea where the next attack would come from. The lights flickered, strange noises echoed from the ventilation shafts, and the scent of antiseptic mixed with something far more sinister. I could feel it. My doppelganger was toying with us, luring us into a trap. We reached...
I saw Labrador freeze for a moment, assessing the situation. The double looked just like him, but something was deeply wrong. He moved like a shadow, his presence felt unnatural, and when he spoke, his voice seemed to pierce through the air itself. And then he struck. His movements were lightning fast, his attacks precise. I tried to intervene, but he dodged effortlessly, predicting my
Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Our battle will be legendary. This day started like any other. The city was waking up, and Dobie and I were going through the morning reports. But soon, the peace was broken by a call. The dispatcher's voice was tense. There were reports of strange events at the central hospital. Patients were disappearing. Nurses spoke of a mysterious sheriff who had taken control of the institution. And the strangest part, this sheriff looked exactly like me. Dobie and I exchanged glances. This couldn't be a coincidence. I had heard stories about doppelgangers, but I never thought I would encounter one myself. We got into the car and headed to the hospital.
When we arrived, the hospital looked deserted. The large glass doors were locked, and behind them, we could only see dim, flickering lights. No patients, no staff, as if the whole place had been abandoned. Posters with Labrador's face hung on the walls, but something was off about them. His eyes looked cold, and his smile menacing. We cautiously stepped inside. The hallways were dark, the lights flickered, and the air smelled of chemicals. Cameras were everywhere, watching our every move. We had to figure out what was going on.
We moved forward carefully, scanning our surroundings. I could feel that we were being watched. Suddenly, a nurse appeared from around the corner. He looked terrified and whispered that we had to leave while we still could. According to him, the other sheriff had locked all the patients and staff in the basement and had taken over the main office. This was a challenge we couldn't ignore. We headed for the staircase leading down, but as soon as we opened the door, the sound of footsteps filled the corridor. Several guards in black uniforms with patches bearing my own emblem emerged from the shadows. They didn't look friendly.
We knew there would be no talking our way out of this. The guards lunged at us, but we were ready. Labrador threw his baton at one of them, while I used my strength to shove another straight into the wall. The rest hesitated, giving us the chance to break through to the basement. We rushed down the narrow stairs. The air grew heavier. It smelled of age and metal. Rusty pipes lined the walls. Water dripped from the ceiling. Soon, we reached a locked door. Behind it, we heard muffled voices. People were inside.
The door was secured with a massive lock. I glanced around and spotted a toolbox. Grabbing a crowbar, I swung hard at the lock. It gave way with a screech. The door burst open, revealing dozens of frightened but unharmed patients and doctors. They ran toward us, begging to be saved from the false sheriff. I told them to stay put until we dealt with the main threat. We had to find my double.
We climbed to the top floor, where the main office was located. The door was slightly ajar, and we stepped inside. There, in the center of the spacious office, stood my partner's evil twin. He looked exactly like Labrador, except for his eyes. They were dark, lifeless, like empty voids. A strange badge hung from his chest, glowing with a faint red light. He looked at us and smiled. We realized this wasn't just an imposter. This was something inhuman. He didn't speak, but his gaze made it clear he wouldn't let us leave so easily.
He attacked! I barely managed to dodge as his paw slammed into the desk, leaving a deep dent. This me was stronger than any ordinary beast. Dobie tried to sneak up behind him, but with a single motion, the doppelganger flung him aside. I had to find a way to stop him. I noticed that the badge on his chest glowed brighter whenever he attacked. Maybe that was the source of his power.
I understood what Labrador was thinking. We had to remove that badge. I lunged forward, pretending to go for his face, while Labrador leaped from above, grabbed the badge, and yanked it with all his strength. A dull crack echoed through the room. The false sheriff froze. Then his body began to tremble. Awareness flickered in his eyes before he simply dissolved into the air, leaving behind only the metallic badge, now dull and lifeless.
As soon as he vanished, the hospital began to change. The lights brightened, the cameras stopped tracking us, and the eerie silence was replaced by the sounds of voices. We knew the spell or technology that kept people in fear had been broken. Doctors and patients emerged from the basement, cautiously looking around. They were free. We knew it was over.
Once everything calmed down, we stepped outside. The sky was already lightening. Night was over. I looked at Labrador and smirked. We had seen a lot, but nothing like this before. But before we could get into the car, a new call came in. The dispatcher reported strange occurrences happening in the city again. We exchanged glances and started the engine.
The corridor trembled with each impact. Every door concealed the unknown, and we had no idea where the next attack would come from. The lights flickered, strange noises echoed from the ventilation shafts, and the scent of antiseptic mixed with something far more sinister. I could feel it. My doppelganger was toying with us, luring us into a trap. We reached the operating room. The massive metal doors slid open slowly, revealing a chamber filled with surgical instruments hanging from the ceiling, and tables draped in dusty sheets. And in the center of it all, he stood, my dark reflection, wearing a twisted grin and staring with cold, empty eyes. He didn't attack immediately. He was waiting, savoring our hesitation. That's when I realized this wasn't just a copy. He could read my thoughts, anticipate my every move. This was me, stripped of conscience, devoid of principles, without mercy.
I saw Labrador freeze for a moment, assessing the situation. The double looked just like him, but something was deeply wrong. He moved like a shadow, his presence felt unnatural, and when he spoke, his voice seemed to pierce through the air itself. And then he struck. His movements were lightning fast, his attacks precise. I tried to intervene, but he dodged effortlessly, predicting my every action. It felt like a nightmare, the kind where your enemy is always faster, always ahead. We tried every technique we knew, but he countered them with ease, as if he had already seen the battle play out in his mind. The only way to win was to outsmart him, to make him believe in a false move.
I feigned exhaustion, letting my body slump as if I were giving up. For just 1 second, he smirked. And that was all we needed. At that moment, Dobie lunged forward, grabbing a surgical lamp and blasting him with blinding light. My double flinched, his expression shifting from arrogance to pure terror. That was my chance. I struck hard, and he staggered back, his eyes widening as he realized he had lost. A horrible screech filled the room as his body began to dissolve, leaving only a flickering outline of his former self. The hospital trembled as if reality itself was collapsing. We barely made it outside before the entire building shuddered and started to fade away. It had all been an illusion, a construct of darkness. But now it was gone.
When it was over, I turned to look at Labrador. He was exhausted, but victorious. We had won. Another day, another rescue. But as we walked away, a chill crept up my spine. For a split second, in the reflection of the hospital's glass doors, I swore I saw him.
As we stepped outside, the hospital behind us began to vanish, dissolving like mist into the night air. It felt like waking from a nightmare that had finally ended. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Dobie patted me on the shoulder, a silent confirmation that we had done everything we could. But something gnawed at me. I knew my double was gone, but was he truly gone? His smirk, his movements, they had been too real to simply disappear. Questions swirled in my mind, but for now, there were no answers.
I glanced around. The city carried on as usual, unaware that just moments ago, we had battled an entity that could have destroyed not only us, but the very fabric of reality itself. I wanted to say something reassuring, but before I could, the dispatcher's voice crackled over the radio. Another call, another nightmare. I sighed, exchanging a knowing look with Labrador. Looked like rest wasn't in our near future. We jumped into the car and headed toward the next anomaly.
I drove through the dark city streets, but my thoughts kept drifting back to the hospital. In the rearview mirror, for a brief moment, I saw a familiar face. My face, but with that same sinister smirk. I blinked quickly, and it disappeared. I wasn't sure if it was just exhaustion or something more. Maybe my double hadn't disappeared completely. Maybe he was just lying in wait, biding his time to return.
When we arrived at the next call, the dark building of the city library loomed before us, shrouded in thick fog.
Friends, Peppa Pig has turned evil and wants to make me just like her. Watch the video until the end to save me. Hello, friends. Today we find ourselves in the most unusual place, the house of Peppa Pig, which has turned into a prison. It's a real nightmare. Peppa and her family have become very mean, and now we have to escape from here.
Yes, Labrador. Hello, everyone. We entered the house and everything looks creepy. Peppa was always a sweet pig, but something has changed her. Now she and her family run this prison. We need to figure out what happened and get out of here.
A Peppa used to be just a playful pig, but it seems something has really angered her. Maybe it's because she's tired of the constant attention and noise around her family. Her world has become dark, and now she's trying to trap everyone who enters her house.
I think her anger might be related to feeling lonely and misunderstood. Her house is now full of traps and dangers. We need to be very careful not to fall into one of them.
Our journey will not be easy, but we will definitely make it. The main thing is to stick together and not lose hope. We will find a way to escape and bring Peppa back to her kind self. Guys, have you watched cartoons with Peppa Pig? I watched, and I remember that she was always a very kind pig, but look at what she has become.
With each new room, it gets scarier. Peppa's house is full of secrets and dangers, but we are not giving up. We will definitely find a way out and uncover the mystery of why Peppa and her family have become so mean.
Don't forget, friends, that together we can overcome any difficulties. We will go through all the obstacles and find our way to freedom. Stay with us. This will be an exciting adventure.
Stay close, and we will definitely escape this prison. Our mission is to set everything right and make Peppa's house bright and cheerful again. Onward to adventure.
Perhaps something important awaits us at the end of this journey. Maybe we can find a way to reconcile Peppa with her feelings. But for now, we need to focus on each step, on each challenge. Every success brings us closer to our goal. Do you see how creepy it is here? Guys, like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And with each step, we become stronger. This adventure teaches us that even in the darkest places, light can be found. We will learn to handle any difficulties and always keep moving forward.
Dobie, we've been through a lot, but this challenge is special. We are not just fighting for our freedom, but also for Peppa's freedom. This makes our adventure even more meaningful. This Roblox map reminds me of something. I have a feeling we'll be fighting a Peppa Pig boss at the end, so watch until the end.
We will definitely get out and help Peppa. It's our duty as sheriffs and friends. We will overcome all obstacles and bring peace back to Peppa's house. I can't believe this used to be her home. I watched the cartoons and visited Peppa's house before, and it was completely different. Honestly, I'm very scared, Labrador. I hope the viewers aren't as scared as I am.
A few months ago, Dobie and I decided to visit our friends in the neighboring town. Peppa Pig had invited us to a party in honor of her younger brother George's birthday. We arrived early in the morning and were happy to see the town preparing for the celebration. Bright garlands were hung everywhere, and cheerful music was playing.
At Peppa's house, it was very fun and cozy. The party was in full swing. Children were laughing and playing, and adults were discussing news and enjoying treats. Everything was going great, and no one suspected that unfriendly eyes were watching Peppa's house. Labrador and I didn't notice the suspicious types right away, but our keen sense soon led us to an unpleasant suspicion.
While the guests were having fun in the garden, Dobie and I decided to look around and check if everything was okay. We noticed strange tracks behind the house and realized that someone was planning something bad. A few minutes later, we saw two strangers sneaking towards Peppa's house with the intention of robbing it. They clearly didn't expect to meet us there.
Labrador and I acted quickly and efficiently. While I circled the house from one side, Labrador took up a position on the other. We knew we had to prevent the robbery and protect Peppa and her family. At that moment, the robbers were already trying to break in through the back door, unaware that they were being watched.
When the uninvited guests realized that their plan had been uncovered, they tried to escape. However, we didn't give them that chance. Dobie tackled one of the robbers and pinned him to the ground while I quickly caught up with the second one. Thanks to our quick reaction and coordinated actions, we apprehended both criminals.
Peppa's family was very grateful for our help. We handed the robbers over to the local police and returned to the party. Everything happened so fast that most of the guests didn't even realize what had occurred. The party continued, and everyone was glad that it ended well.
That day showed us how important it is to always be on alert, even in a festive atmosphere. Dobie and I did everything possible to protect our friends and prevent the criminals from ruining the party. We are glad we could help, and once again confirmed that together we are an unbeatable team.
At the end of the day, when we were heading home, we discussed how important it is to always be ready for the unexpected. We are glad that our visit to Peppa ended so well and that we could prevent the robbery. It was another reminder that sheriffs are always on guard, and no matter what happens, we will always come to the rescue. And they also gave us a huge cake.
Not long ago, there was an incident. Could this be why Peppa became angry? Peppa Pig went missing. The whole town was in panic because Peppa is one of the most beloved residents. The locals immediately started spreading the word that she had disappeared without a trace. Dobie and I, of course, couldn't ignore this. We decided we had to help find her. When we arrived in Peppa's town, her family and friends greeted us, and everyone was very worried. Peppa had never left without notice, and leaving her little brother George behind was simply impossible. Everything seemed very strange.
We started by thoroughly examining the house. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual. The doors were locked and the windows were intact. But I noticed a strange trail in the grass near the fence. It led into a forest located not far from Peppa's house. Labrador immediately pointed out that this could be an important clue. We decided to follow the trail. The farther we went, the more mysterious the trail became. At first it was clear, but soon it disappeared among the bushes. However, our experienced noses helped us find additional tracks that led to an old shed on the edge of the forest.
When we reached the shed, it was quiet and dark. Dobie and I couldn't understand what might be inside. I peered in and suddenly noticed something moving in the corner. It was something strange, almost like a shadow. We went inside and saw an old cage with Peppa inside. She was sitting there, crying and scared. It turned out she had been kidnapped by local troublemakers who decided to play a prank and hide her to see how everyone would react. They never expected us to be so quick on the trail.
Labrador and I quickly freed Peppa and took her back home. Peppa was shocked, but soon recovered and thanked us for rescuing her. The town was overjoyed when she returned, and all the residents gathered in the main square to congratulate us on the successful operation. The mystery was solved, and the mean troublemakers were punished. In the end, Peppa returned to her cozy life, and everyone was happy again. Labrador and I felt proud of our work, but the most important thing was that we brought Peppa home and restored peace to the town.
Once, some scammers came to our town and started handing out candy to the children. At first glance, everything seemed peaceful, and no one suspected that something dangerous might be behind it. But as soon as children started disappearing, Dobie and I realized that something was wrong. Soon it became clear that the candy was a trap. The scammers were kidnapping children to force them to work in their factories, making them do whatever they were told.
Yes, the situation was very tense. We started investigating, and it turned out that the scammers used a clever device that made the children lose consciousness. After that, they would take them to unknown places, where they were forced to work in a toy factory. Of course, we couldn't allow this, and as soon as we learned what was going on, we immediately took action.
First, we had to find the criminals' hideout. We knew they were hiding somewhere on the outskirts of town, but the exact location was unknown. We followed the trail, questioned a few locals, and found out that strange things were happening near an abandoned warehouse. When we arrived there, we saw that the children were indeed being kept in dark basements, forced to work on dangerous machines.
Labrador and I acted right away. We used our special team, sheriff detectives, to infiltrate the warehouse and neutralize the scammers. We didn't know how many of them were there and weren't sure if we could make it in time, but fortunately, we were prepared. We hid in the shadows and crept up to the main entrance. As soon as we saw the children working under the supervision of two scammers, we decided to act.
One of them even tried to notice us, but I quickly jumped out from behind the corner and detained him. Dobie immediately slapped on the handcuffs. The second scammer tried to run away, but I blocked all the exits, and he couldn't escape. We freed the children, and they immediately ran to the exit. We quickly notified all the parents, and they came to take their children home.
Labrador and I acted right away. We used our special team, sheriff detectives, to infiltrate the warehouse and neutralize the scammers. We didn't know how many of them were there and weren't sure if we could make it in time, but fortunately, we were prepared. We hid in the shadows and crept up to the main entrance. As soon as we saw the children working under the supervision of two scammers, we decided to act.
We've defeated the evil boss Peppa. Now she should start feeling better because this costume had infected her. We'll definitely visit Peppa soon, but for now, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. We're off to the next Roblox modes. Hello friends, this is Sheriff Labrador and my faithful partner, Sheriff Dobie.
Hi guys, today we have something special for you. We are diving into the world of Roblox and playing the Escape Funnies Toy Shop mode.
In this mode, our main task is to escape from the creepy toy store, but it will be harder than it seems.
We'll have to hide and run from the terrifying toy that wants to trap us in its world.
Friends, hold on tight because it's going to be both fun and scary.
In this mode, we have 6 tough challenges, each testing our skills to the limit. We might even face the main toy boss at the end. It sounds frightening and exciting, but we can handle it because we are a team. We just turned on the lights to see better, and now we are heading into the ominous tunnel to find the exit.
This tunnel looks really spooky. I hope we don't encounter many traps.
The main thing is to be careful and stick together. Friends, keep your fingers crossed for us. A real challenge lies ahead.
What are these tracks? Some monster sneaked into the ventilation and left its tracks here. Maybe we could crawl through there and find the exit right away. But the vent is closed. We'll have to go through this creepy tunnel with broken pipes. Dobie, are you afraid to jump through this hot air?
No, I'm not afraid. Do you think I'm a coward? We've gone through many scary modes together. I'm almost used to them. By the way, it's better not to look down right now. Wait, do you hear that? Or is it just me?
I don't hear anything. We've encountered a real challenge. A scary maze, guys. This maze is not only complicated, but also full of dangers. A huge, terrifying toy will chase us if we don't find the exit in time. It will turn us into its toys.
This challenge will require our maximum mental and physical strength. The maze is huge, and we must be very careful to find the exit as quickly as possible. But don't worry, Labrador and I will guide you. And remember, friends,
This is just the first challenge in this mode. Ahead of us are many difficulties and puzzles. We must be ready for anything and never give up.
hey Labrador, this parkour is really tough. It seems we are facing the hardest challenges in this mode.
Indeed, Dobie, but this is just the beginning. We have a lot more ahead of us. By the way, do you remember what our friends said about the next challenge?
Oh yes, they mentioned something about red and green colors. They said it's one of the most interesting challenges here. We need to be ready for anything.
I remember they said these colors are related to choosing a path or solving puzzles. We need to be alert and use our brains.
Exactly, Labrador. Let's leave the parkour behind and get ready for the next challenge. Remember, teamwork and attentiveness are our best allies here.
Absolutely, Dobie. Let's move forward. New challenges await us, and we must prove that sheriffs are not easily broken. Green light. Run, Labrador. Oh, wait, red light. Stop and don't move. Green light. Run, Dobie. Run. Just a bit more. You can do it. Oh no, stop, red light. No way out, or as they say. Or as...
Labrador, I almost lost because of you. Is something wrong with your reactions? The green light was on, and you only mentioned the red. Do you not know the difference between green and red?
Ha ha. Sorry, Dobie. I got a bit confused. Next time I'll pay more attention to the signals. Don't worry. I'll react faster in the next challenge.
We've passed the second challenge of this strange living toy, and now we just need to climb up and start the third challenge. Honestly, I thought it would be easier. This is the hardest challenge for us.
You're right. I hope you guys are subscribing to our channel and liking our efforts. These challenges are really tough, but the third challenge will be 100 times harder. I doubt our friend told the truth.
Hey, Labrador, look what's ahead. Our task is to climb this tower of toy blocks before this Titan toy robot catches and crushes us. Okay, Labrador, let's look at our options. These columns of blocks can be our cover. We can run between them to avoid the robot's grasp.
Great idea, Dobie. We can also use these toy blocks to slow down its movement. Throw them at its feet to create obstacles and gain valuable seconds.
Right, Labrador. And don't forget about teamwork. Coordinate our actions. One of us distracts the robot while the other circles the edge of the tower. This way, we can split its attention and gain more time.
Exactly, Dobie. Let's get to it. Let's show this robot who the real sheriffs are. Stick to the plan, and we'll definitely succeed.
Only 6 seconds left. I'm sure we can survive. If not, Labrador, you were the best friend I've ever had. Hooray! We managed to outsmart the Titan robot. Honestly, it was pretty dumb. Just a clumsy piece of metal destroying everything in its path.
I think we shouldn't have opened this door. It's really creepy here. It looks like the place where we need to find an exit and escape from the main character of this mode. Wish us luck, subscribers.
Hey, Labrador, look who's chasing us now. It's a living toy, and it's after us through this abandoned toy warehouse. We need to keep moving and not let it catch us, or we'll be its next victims.
Wow, Dobie, this is really terrifying. Let's use our knowledge and experience to get out of this situation. We must find a way to dodge it.
I see a machine ahead. Could it be an escape route? No, it doesn't look like it. There's lava down there. How is there lava in a toy store? Some monster must have created it while we were driving.
I wanted to tell you something yesterday. We received a call from the toy store owner. He said toys started disappearing, and all the surveillance cameras were turned off. This prompted Dobie and me to immediately head to the scene.
Yes, Labrador is right. When we arrived, the store seemed empty and abandoned, with toys and plush animals scattered everywhere.
We started the investigation and found Mr. and Mrs. Squirrel hiding in the far corner of the store. It turned out they were taking the toys, thinking they were for their children.
When we asked them why they didn't use the surveillance cameras, they said they didn't know how to turn them on and were just trying to do something nice for their kids.
In the end, we cleared things up and suggested they visit the store during business hours to buy toys. They apologized for the inconvenience and promised not to take anything without permission again.
So friends, sometimes mysterious disappearances aren't about dark forces. Sometimes it's just parents trying to make their kids' lives brighter.
It seems we've been through a lot, but now the fourth challenge awaits us, which turns out to be a real test.
Yes, Labrador, this challenge is like games such as Mario. We need to run and jump, avoiding traps and collecting everything that can help us stop the giant head of this living toy that is trying to catch and eat us.
Now Dobie and I found ourselves in a world reminiscent of classic Mario in 2D. We started on a platform surrounded by green pipes and brick blocks, but the real excitement was ahead. We were being chased by a giant toy head. We had to jump and collect bombs to slow it down.
Exactly, Labrador. These platform jumps are quite the challenge. It feels like being a puppy again, trying to reach high shelves. And those bombs are a real treasure. Throw one, and the head slows down, giving us a chance to run further. Great job, Labrador. We're almost at the finish, friends. And who would have thought that simply escaping from a toy head could be so exciting?
Here we are in the ventilation system, friends, or almost there. We've already made it halfway, and honestly, I'm a little worried. These pipes look like they haven't been cleaned in ages. And the air here, it's not the freshest. But we can't stop now. We need to keep going to get out of this toy store. Who would have thought that toys could be so dangerous?
You're right, Labrador. And these rusty pipes? It smells like an old basement, but it seems like we're no strangers to tough tasks. These old abandoned toys scattered through the sewers are staring at us with their empty eyes. They're definitely not happy to see us, so we need to be careful and stay alert.
We made it through that sewer, and I have no idea how we managed to escape. The toys tried to grab us. Oh, Dobie, look, it's game number 5.
It kind of reminds me of some game, or maybe it's just me. What do you think, guys? Let us know in the comments.
What a challenge. Dobie and I are back in the toy store, and now we have to jump on platforms that are about to start falling. As soon as they turn red, we need to get off, or we're in trouble. Honestly, I'm a bit nervous because these platforms are so slippery that you barely have time to react.
Yeah, Labrador, these platforms are a real headache. You barely land on one before it starts glowing red. It feels like a game of cat and mouse. You almost made it, but it's about to disappear beneath your feet. Of course, we're sheriffs, but here we really need to be extra careful. I even joked a few times that if I fall, I'll land on a soft toy. Whew, we barely made it through this level. What's next? Is this the end?
This toy train looks extremely suspicious. I doubt the exit is here, but we have no other choice. Settle in, Dobie. We're in for a long ride.
Let's go, Sheriff Labrador. I hope we don't encounter any screamers along the way and everything goes smoothly. Oh no, it was a trap.
What do we do now? We're falling straight down. We're going to crash, Sheriff Labrador.
Are you here? I see the final arena.
Yes, I'm here. It looks like this is the final challenge. Oh, wait. It's that same living toy in a robo-suit. How do we deal with it, guys? We're facing the main boss, a toy robot threatening us with lasers and a giant metal structure.
Yes, Labrador. This robot means business. It's firing all its weapons and trying to crush us with its huge feet.
But we won't give up. To defeat this boss, we need to aim for its weak spot, the legs. We have rocket launchers, and we need to hit them directly.
Let's act quickly and in sync. Labrador, you take the rocket launcher on the right. I'll take the left. Let's focus fire on its legs while we have the chance. Watch how it opens the vents on its legs.
Now's our chance to attack. Launch the rockets.
Great shot, Labrador. We damaged its leg. Just a bit more and we'll have it.
The boss is getting more aggressive. Watch out. Dodge the lasers and keep attacking its legs.
Another rocket hit the mark. The leg is starting to smoke. We're almost there.
We're on the home stretch. We'll defeat this evil robot. Hooray! We managed to destroy it. They didn't call me Diamond Eye at the Sheriff Academy for nothing. I'm a really good shot. Now we just need to find the way out of here, guys.
You're all the best. You helped us defeat this toy robot. I hope we really won and this isn't another trap.
Guys, help us! Quickly like the video, leave a comment, and watch it until the end, or we might fall straight into the lava.
Hello, everyone. Imagine you're stuck in an abandoned pizzeria where danger lurks at every turn. The main goal is to escape this creepy place, but be careful. The terrifying chef Papa Pizza is on your trail, cooking up his horrible dishes from human parts. Yes, you heard that right. This will be a true test of your agility and wits.
Welcome to our channel, friends. It's your Sheriff's Labrador and my trusty partner, Dobie, back with you again. Today we have something special. We are embarking on an exciting adventure in a Roblox mode called Escape from Papa Pizza's Pizzeria. Dobie, tell everyone what challenges they'll face.
Oh yes, guys. You'll face puzzles, traps, and the need to quickly run away from this crazy chef. But don't worry, Labrador and I will be there to help you every step of the way.
Ready for an incredible adventure? Then get comfortable, gather your courage, and let's see if we can escape Papa Pizza's pizzeria together.
Oh no, Labrador, where's the light? It seems Papa Pizza is after us. Hide, Labrador. We need to act quickly and precisely because Papa Pizza is right on our heels.
Oh, guys, he's right behind us. Do you see those scary eyes and that creepy apron? Papa Pizza is cooking his horrible dishes and wants to add us to the menu. We need to find a way out urgently.
Exactly, Labrador. Listen carefully, guys. To save ourselves, we need to find a hole in the floor and jump into it. It's our only chance to escape this crazy chef. Let's move quickly. We don't have much time.
We did it, guys. We're safe for now, but stay alert. There are always new challenges ahead in this game.
Thanks for being with us, and until the next adventure. Whew, that was scary, but we made it. Subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and leave comments about what modes you'd like to see next. And now we are...
Yes, in the stinky sewers. Oh, the smell here is terrible. But we have no choice, guys. To get out of here, we need to climb through a hatch. The problem is, Papa Pizza is waiting for us up there.
Exactly, Labrador. The hatch leads directly to the bathroom, and Papa Pizza is already there, ready to catch us. But we have a plan. First, we need to find the hatch and climb up carefully. Then we'll try to outsmart him.
I see the hatch ahead. Be careful and watch your step to avoid traps. Dobby, do you think we can outsmart Papa Pizza?
Of course, Labrador. We need to be smarter and faster. Guys, as soon as we climb through the hatch, be ready to act quickly. We need to figure out how to bypass Papa Pizza and escape.
Let's try. Here's the hatch. I see it. Is everyone ready? Climb carefully and quietly. Just like that. We're almost there.
Oh no, he's here! Run, guys, faster! We need to find a way out of this bathroom and avoid Papa Pizza. Labrador, where to next?
We got through that scary web. But how did Papa Pizza turn into Papa Spider? Oh no, we stepped on a spike. We'll have to start over.
Now we're navigating through a spiked trap. We have to be very careful not to get caught in them.
Yes, Dobby, this is definitely not a place you want to get stuck. Watch your step, guys, and stay away from those menacing spikes. We can handle this together. Stay close.
After this trap, another challenge awaits us. We'll have to do parkour over old pipes that could collapse at any moment. Be careful, guys, and help each other out.
Once this was an excellent establishment where all the animals of the city came for the best pizza. But something happened, and now Papa Pizza has closed his pizzeria and become incredibly evil. They say his secret recipe was stolen, and since then, he lost all interest in cooking. We're here to find out what happened and try to escape this creepy place.
Yes, Labrador, you're right. This place is filled with an atmosphere of eerie abandonment. Papa Pizza was famous for his recipes, but after the theft, he completely changed. Now the pizzeria is not a place of joy, but a labyrinth full of dangers. We must be careful. We just passed by the kitchen, and there was a huge pile of dough, as if Papa Pizza was trying to recreate his recipes, but failed. He couldn't make that magical pizza anymore.
We've seen how the pizzas turned into real traps. Remember that giant pizza that fell from the ceiling right in front of us? That's definitely not the pizza we're used to seeing. Papa Pizza has set up many traps here to make sure no one can escape. At one point, it seemed to me that he was wandering these corridors himself, guarding his lost empire.
Yes, this pizzeria has turned into a real nightmare. We went through the kitchen, and there were pizzas with teeth. Something incredible. And those pizza boxes that open and try to grab you certainly don't add any confidence. Papa Pizza clearly doesn't want anyone to get out of here alive. His malice has soaked every corner of this place.
Now we've reached the main hall and everything is turned upside down. Broken tables and chairs, scattered ingredients. Everything indicates that a real chaos happened here. Papa Pizza, losing his secret recipe, transformed from a kind chef into a real monster. We have only one option left. Find a way out of this madness and try to restore the pizzeria's former glory.
I agree, Labrador. We've overcome many challenges, but the most important one is ahead. Papa Pizza may be evil, but we've proven time and again that we can handle any difficulties. Let's keep moving to escape this place and perhaps help Papa Pizza find his former self.
Friends, I want to share a very secret story with you. It all started when we received several strange reports from the residents. They claimed they had seen a living pizza that moved on its own and seemed to have its own plans. At first, we thought it was a joke, but when the number of reports increased, it became clear that something unusual was going on. Dobie and I decided to check out these reports and went to the location where the most calls were coming from.
When we arrived at the scene, we were greeted by frightened residents pointing to Papa Pizza's pizzeria. It looked normal, but something was off. We cautiously entered and immediately noticed unusual tomato sauce marks on the floor. We followed these marks and ended up in a storeroom where we were in for a real surprise. There was a huge living pizza moving around and making strange noises. We realized it wasn't just alive, but also aggressive.
It turned out that this living pizza was the result of an experiment gone wrong by Papa Pizza. He had wanted to create the most delicious and unique pizza in the world by adding rare ingredients and a special magical seasoning to his recipe. But something went wrong, and the pizza gained its own consciousness and the ability to move. Moreover, it decided that it could become the ruler of the city and take control. Dobie and I realized we needed to act quickly to stop it.
We began to devise a plan to neutralize the living pizza. It was important not only to stop it, but also to ensure that something like this wouldn't happen again. We remembered that the magical seasoning could be neutralized by adding certain ingredients to the pizza. In search of these ingredients, we turned to our friends in the city, and soon we had everything we needed. The hardest part was getting close to the pizza to add the ingredients, but our teamwork and determination helped us succeed.
After several attempts, we managed to neutralize the living pizza. It lost its movement and became just an ordinary pizza. We returned it to Papa Pizza and explained what had happened. He was shocked and promised not to use magical ingredients again. The city regained its peace, and all the residents were grateful for our rescue.
This story was an important lesson for us about how experiments can be dangerous if you don't know when to stop. We realized that our job is not just to protect the city from external threats, but also to prevent internal problems. From now on, we will always be more careful with any unusual events so that such incidents won't happen again.
We finally made it out of that pizzeria. These challenges were pure hell. Pizzas with trap flavors, trampolines throwing us into endless nightmares. But now, even more adventures await us. The forest. And it seems Papa Pizza hasn't forgotten about us. He's still on our tail. We need to find a way out through these dark trees, or we'll end up in his clutches forever.
This forest is really creepy, Labrador. It's as dark as a basement, and I can hear something rustling in the bushes. We've survived the pizzeria traps, but this will be even harder. The key is finding those trash bins with fences. I'm sure that's our only chance to escape. We need to climb, jump, and then we'll be able to get away from Papa Pizza.
Do you hear that? It's him. Papa Pizza won't back down. He's chasing us, and we need to move fast. Those trash bins with fences are our way out. But no matter how hard we try, this forest feels endless. We'll have to jump and hope that the next trash bin is the one that will lead us out.
No shadow or sound will stop us, Labrador. We've already gone through the horrors of the pizzeria, so this forest is just another obstacle on the road to freedom. The key is not to lose our heads. We're almost there. Let's jump over the fence and break free from this forest like real sheriffs.
Here it is, the spot. We're at the last trash bin. This is our chance, Dobie. We need to jump straight into the darkness, but I believe there's an exit there. Let's go.
We did it, Labrador. Just a few more steps, and we're safe. Papa Pizza didn't catch us, which means we're free again. See you soon, friends.
Here we are, friends. The pizzeria is behind us, and the forest too. We've gone through all these trials, and despite Papa Pizza trying to catch us, we broke free. I hope you enjoyed our adventure and didn't forget about us while we were running away from that giant pizza. This living toy wants to catch us. Watch the video until the end to save us. Oh no! Hello, friends! Today, Dobie and I found ourselves in an exciting new Roblox game called Escape the Epic School, Obby. This school looks simply amazing. Bright walls, beautiful classrooms, and hallways. But as soon as we started moving through the school, we realized that something was wrong.
Hello, everyone. Yes, Labrador, you're right. In this school, all the teachers are animated toys. They've gone haywire and have become real threats. The head teacher is a huge head with a police hat and long arms and legs. He looks terrifying, and just seeing him gives you the chills. But that's not the only danger.
The school is indeed impressive with its beauty. Every classroom and hallway shows attention to detail. At first glance, it seems like the perfect place for learning. But we quickly understood that behind this beauty lies something sinister. The toy teachers, who were supposed to entertain children, now pose a serious threat.
One teacher that stood out was a toy pizza. When we first saw him, he seemed quite funny. But as soon as we got closer, he came to life and started chasing us. We quickly realized he was no joke, but thanks to our experience and teamwork, we managed to escape the danger.
All these teachers were once part of the educational process, but something went wrong, and they became the school's guards. We found out they were created to help children learn, but a system failure caused them to act aggressively. This is especially true for the head teacher, a huge head with long limbs. His appearance is truly frightening.
As we progress through the school, we notice how everything is meticulously detailed. The chemistry classroom has real laboratories, the gym has exercise equipment and basketball hoops. But none of this is for us. We need to find an exit and avoid these animated teachers.
With each passing minute, we become more convinced that this school is not an ordinary place. Everything here is designed to keep us inside. We constantly feel the eyes of these toys on us. They watch our every move, and it makes us uneasy.
Despite all these difficulties, we remain optimistic. We know that together we can overcome any obstacles. We've found ourselves in similar situations before and always found a way out. This time, we are not going to give up either.
Thank you for being with us, friends. Your support means a lot to us. We will keep you updated on all our adventures and hope that together we can escape from this epic school.
Stay with us because there's much more excitement ahead. We are confident that we can overcome all challenges and find a way out of this mysterious school. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and you can leave any comment, and we will respond to it.
We have a story about a school. When Dobie and I received an urgent call to the school, I had no idea what awaited us. Usually such calls are related to minor incidents, but not this time. We were informed that the teachers had started acting strangely. They were destroying classrooms, tearing up textbooks, and causing complete chaos. It was unimaginable. Dobie and I immediately realized that this was serious and we needed to act quickly. When we arrived at the scene, the students were already trying to calm their teachers, but it was clear that they had completely lost control.
I had never seen anything like it. Imagine a school where instead of the usual learning process, there is complete chaos. Teachers, who were always examples of order and discipline, suddenly became totally unpredictable. They were breaking desks, scattering teaching materials, and seemed to be in some sort of trance. The students, on the other hand, were trying to calm them down, which was surprising. I saw how the older students took on the role of adults, trying to organize and protect the younger ones. Labrador and I immediately started figuring out what could have caused such behavior in the teachers.
We quickly discovered that everything started when a new history teacher appeared at the school. It was said that he brought with him some ancient artifacts that he used for his lessons. One of these artifacts was a strange box with intricate patterns that he showed to the class. It was right after this that all the problems began. The teachers who saw this box immediately started acting aggressively. We decided we needed to find this box and understand what it was. But where to look in such chaos?
We started our search in the history classroom, but it was a complete mess. All the shelves were overturned, books scattered everywhere. Labrador and I decided to split up to find the box faster. I went to the old cabinets while Labrador checked the desks and drawers. We found a map.
We realized that the map was somehow related to the teacher's hypnosis. We needed to quickly find a way to lift this effect. We approached the school principal, who fortunately had not yet been hypnotized. He told us that he had heard legends about such artifacts, and that the only way to remove their influence was to find the key to these symbols.
Labrador and I set out to find the teacher. The trail led us to an old building on the outskirts of town where he was temporarily living. We entered his room and found numerous books and documents related to magic and hypnosis. Among them, we found a diary where he detailed his experiments with the box and the map. It turned out that he had accidentally activated a spell that caused this chaos. The diary also mentioned that to lift the spell, a ritual needed to be performed in the schoolyard using the map and certain words.
We returned to the school with the map and began preparing for the ritual. The students, despite the chaos, helped us as best they could. We explained to them what needed to be done, and together we started the ritual. Dobie lit the candles while I held the map and read the words from the ancient symbols. Suddenly, everything around us was illuminated by a bright light, and the teachers began to come to their senses. It was an incredible sight. The spell was lifted, and the school gradually returned to normal. The teachers became themselves again, and the students showed that they could handle the most difficult situations. You know, guys, there's another story where you'll recognize your school. Usually in schools there are fights or small pranks, but this time the situation was much more serious. The students decided to play a prank and locked all the doors so no one could get out. They stuffed the toilets with shirts and turned on the water, causing a massive flood. Imagine a school turned into a huge aquarium, with water flooding the halls and classrooms. Dobie and I had to act fast to save the school from destruction.
When we arrived, we were met with an incredible sight. Water was flowing out from under the doors, and inside the school, there was total chaos. Students were in panic, some trying to escape by climbing onto desks and tables. The water kept rising, and the situation was becoming more and more dangerous. We knew we had to act quickly, or the school could suffer even more damage. The first thing we did was contact our elephant friends, who could help us absorb all the water.
While we waited for the elephants to arrive, Dobie and I began evacuating the students. We helped the children get out of the classrooms and directed them to the exits. Some doors were blocked by water, and we had to use our strength to break through the flood. Despite their fear, the students tried to help each other. Dobie and I coordinated their actions to avoid panic and injuries. Meanwhile, the water kept rising, and the situation was getting more critical.
When the elephants arrived, we immediately sprang into action. Thanks to their powerful trunks, the elephants began absorbing the water like giant sponges. It was an impressive sight. They worked quickly and in sync, helping us save the school. The water level gradually started to drop, and the panic among the students eased. The elephants did an incredible job, and thanks to them, the situation was brought under control. Labrador and I continued to oversee the evacuation, helping those who were still inside.
Gradually, thanks to the elephants' efforts, the water level began to fall, and we were able to assess the damage. Many classrooms were flooded, furniture was ruined, and educational materials were lost. However, the most important thing was that no one was hurt. The students and teachers were safe, and that was our main goal. We thanked our elephant friends for their help, as we wouldn't have been able to manage without them. Now we had to deal with the aftermath and figure out who exactly was behind the prank.
We started the investigation, interviewing students and teachers. It turned out that a few high school students decided to play this prank and didn't think about the consequences. They realized what they had done and were genuinely remorseful. We had a disciplinary talk with them, explaining how dangerous such pranks could be. It was important not only to punish the guilty, but also to teach them responsibility for their actions.
In the end, the school returned to normal life. We helped organize repairs and restore the damaged property. The students and teachers learned how important it is to be cautious and think about the consequences of their actions. Dobie and I were glad everything ended well and that we managed to prevent a catastrophe in time. This story became a lesson for everyone, showing that even the most innocent-looking pranks can lead to serious consequences.
And that's how this unusual story ended. Once again, we were reminded how important it is to be attentive and responsible. And our elephant friends showed that they are always ready to help in tough times. It's important to remember that together we can tackle any problem, and true strength lies in unity and mutual support.
And don't forget, despite all these challenges, we still find moments for laughter and joy. The Epic School is just one of the many adventures we're experiencing thanks to you. Your likes and comments are what motivate us to keep going and overcome all difficulties.
Absolutely! So don't worry, we'll be back here to finish this adventure and defeat the main teacher. We'll continue searching for a way out. And of course, we'll make sure to tell you how we managed to do it.
Hello, friends! Today, we have a dangerous new mission in Roblox. Dobie and I joined the Escape from Evil Grandma game mode and found ourselves trapped in a huge, strange building. It looks like a warehouse, but it has elements of a daycare and a school. Scattered everywhere are old toys, desks, lockers with textbooks, and random blankets. But the scariest part, this place is ruled by an evil grandma who has no intention of letting us leave. We have to escape before it's too late.
Yeah, Labrador, this place is terrifying. There are things everywhere that once belonged to kids, but now they're dusty and forgotten. The lights flicker and the air smells like old furniture. I have a bad feeling. Grandma already knows we're here. We can't hear her footsteps yet, but that doesn't mean she's far away. We have to be extremely careful because there's no turning back. The doors behind us have already locked.
We look around. In front of us are long rows of tall shelves stacked with boxes and strange objects. Old dolls, school notebooks, torn backpacks. It looks like a collection from different time periods. We need to make our way through this maze, but something tells me there are traps ahead.
I noticed some boxes moving on their own. The warehouse seems alive. It looks like evil Grandma has put a spell on this place. Suddenly, a loud thud echoes in the distance. Something just fell. We freeze. It could be just an old toy, but I have a feeling we're not alone.
Step by step, we move carefully through the warehouse, staying close together. Suddenly, we hear a loud creak. The door at the end of the corridor slowly opens by itself. It seems like the only way out, but as soon as we get closer, slam! The door slams shut. Grandma is playing with us. We need to find another way out.
We find a side passage and escape the warehouse. Now we're in an even creepier place, an old daycare. It must have been bright and cheerful once, but now it's different. Dolls with faded eyes sit in the corners. The walls are covered in drawings. Children, but their faces look scared. The swings creak on their own, even though there's no wind.
Every step here feels heavy. It's like the place itself doesn't want us to leave. The floor is covered in spilled paint, but it looks too dark to be paint. I have this strange feeling. We're being watched. Suddenly, we notice an old rocking chair in the corner. It's slowly moving back and forth, even though no one is sitting in it.
This is no coincidence. Grandma knows we're here. We need to get out of this area fast. We move through the rooms filled with broken toys and forgotten belongings. But once again, the exit is blocked. Grandma isn't going to let us go that easily.
See, finally, we escape the daycare and enter the school hallways. There are lockers everywhere, scattered books, and on the blackboard, someone has written, "You will never escape." This is starting to feel like a horror movie, but we're not afraid. We're sheriffs, and we will escape.
The silence is broken by a loud, piercing bell. The sound echoes through the hallways. This is definitely a trap. We speed up, but then we hear a creaky voice from around the corner. Grandma! She's here!
We hear her heavy footsteps. The floorboards creak beneath us, and the walls seem to move. We cannot stop. The hallway feels endless, but up ahead we see a door. Our only chance to escape. We sprint forward.
But Grandma is fast, faster than she looks. She's already right behind us. Her long, bony hands reach out. We dive for the door and slip through just in time. Grandma bangs on the door angrily, but it's locked. We need to keep moving before she finds another way to get to us.
We find ourselves in a massive room. This must be the main warehouse hall. In the center stands a giant rocking chair, and the walls are covered in old photographs. But we don't have time to look around. Evil Grandma is here. Her cold eyes stare at us, and in her hands are huge knitting needles. She's not going to let us go without a fight.
She moves faster than we expected. Her heavy steps shake the floor, but she's quick. We dodge her attacks, trying to find her weak spots. We have to work together.
We use all our skills. The battle is intense, but we won't give up. Grandma tries to corner us, but we dodge just in time. Slowly, she starts to weaken.
One final move. We launch a decisive attack, and Grandma vanishes. The room becomes brighter. The warehouse and school return to normal. We did it. The exit door unlocks, and at last, we are free.
Phew, that was a tough mission, but we made it. Evil Grandma will no longer haunt this place. The warehouse, daycare, and school are back to normal. We restored order.
Great work, Labrador. We proved that even the scariest villains can't stop real sheriffs. Mission complete. We escaped. Now we're ready for our next adventure.
It was just an ordinary day in our town. Dobie and I were patrolling the streets, enjoying the peace, when suddenly the sky lit up with a strange flash. I barely had time to notice how the ground beneath us trembled, the air filled with electricity. And in the next moment, we were no longer where we were supposed to be. When I came to my senses, I saw massive skyscrapers before me. Glowing screens displayed the faces of famous superheroes. On one of the buildings, I saw a giant letter A. There was no doubt, we were in the Avengers Tower. Dobie and I had somehow ended up in the Marvel Universe.
At first, I thought it was just a dream, but everything felt too real. The hum of cars, the chatter of people, and the roar of strange metal creatures flying above us. Suddenly, a familiar red and gold figure flashed through the sky. Iron Man! Before we could figure out what to do next, Tony Stark was already hovering in front of us, scanning us with his system. Judging by his tone, he wasn't thrilled about the sudden appearance of two talking dogs in police uniforms. Without wasting time on questions, he ordered us to follow him to Avengers Tower.
Inside the tower, we met Captain America, Thor, Black Widow, and Hulk. Each of them curiously studied us. Dobie tried to explain that we ended up here by accident, but no one seemed surprised. Apparently, in their world, such things weren't unusual. Before we could even process everything, an alarm blared through the building. Loki's face appeared on the screen. He announced that he was opening a portal and unleashing an army of Chitauri. The city was in danger of another invasion. Dobie and I exchanged glances. There was no way we were sitting this one out.
Tony handed me a strange device. From his explanation, it could temporarily close portals. Meanwhile, Labrador grabbed the nearest shield, which turned out to be Captain America's spare. By the time we rushed outside, the battle had already begun. Chitauri swarmed the city, attacking civilians and destroying buildings. Iron Man soared through the air, firing at enemies. Thor struck with lightning, and Hulk just smashed everything in sight. I noticed a group of civilians trapped by the aliens. I had to act fast.
I covered Dobie, blocking several laser shots with the shield. He dashed forward and activated the device. A flash, and one of the portals collapsed. That's when we realized we could help the Avengers shut down the rifts faster. Captain America nodded at us and hurled his shield at another group of enemies. I couldn't resist. I mimicked his move and threw the shield I had. It struck two Chitauri and miraculously returned to my paws. The feeling was incredible. Then suddenly, Loki leaped at us from the rooftop.
I realized he had chosen us as an easy target, but before he could strike, Thor hit him with a bolt of lightning. Loki crashed to the ground but quickly got up, smirking. He said that even if we closed the portals, he would find another way to return. That made me uneasy. Did he have another plan? While Labrador and I kept Loki distracted, Tony worked on a device that could permanently shut all the portals. But time was running out.
Loki attacked again, this time using his magic. He created several illusions, making it impossible to spot the real him. But Dobie had an idea, using Tony's device against Loki himself. As soon as we activated it, Loki's magic glitched. The real Loki appeared right in front of us, disoriented. We couldn't waste this chance. Thor hurled his hammer, knocking Loki off his feet. At that exact moment, Tony finished calibrating the device and gave the signal.
I watched as the portals started collapsing one by one. The remaining Chitauri lost connection to their ships and fell powerless. The city was finally returning to normal. Loki was captured, and the Avengers thanked us for our help. Iron Man admitted that without us, the battle could have lasted much longer. But one question remained. How would we get home?
Tony and Doctor Strange worked together to find a way to send us back. They created a portal that would open a time rift leading home. We said our goodbyes to the Avengers, stepped through the portal, and
we woke up in our town. Everything was as it had been before. Quiet streets, peaceful citizens, just another normal day. But we knew it was real. We had an incredible story, one no one would ever believe. But most importantly, we proved that no matter the universe, we were still sheriffs, ready to fight for what's right.
It was a hot day, and Dobie and I were patrolling the waterfront, enjoying the peace and fresh air. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the air. We turned quickly and saw a person struggling in the water, unable to get out. The person was going under, and I knew we had to act fast. I jumped into the water, feeling the coldness pierce through my paws. Dobie didn't hesitate and threw me a life ring, which I grabbed and brought to the drowning person.
I stayed on the shore, watching the situation unfold. Labrador grabbed the life ring and began pulling the person toward us. I tightened the rope, helping them move forward. The water was rough, but Labrador didn't lose a second. When they reached the shore, I helped the person up. He was coughing and breathing heavily, but he was okay. though clearly shaken. We sat him on a bench and gave him some water.
The people standing nearby started approaching, some bringing towels, others offering help. We waited for the medics, who quickly examined the person. Fortunately, he had just swallowed some water and was in shock. But overall, everything turned out fine. Dobie and I exchanged glances. It was a challenging experience, but we handled it.
Once the person was okay, we resumed our patrol. Sometimes it feels like our job is just about catching criminals, but in reality, it's much more than that. We saved a life, and that was our most important.
The day started as usual, with a strong cup of coffee and another morning briefing. I was going through reports when my radio suddenly blared with an urgent alarm. The dispatcher's voice was shaking. Something unimaginable had happened at the Rainbow Meadow Kindergarten. Eyewitnesses reported that the Sprunkies had suddenly appeared in the center of the building and were now holding it under siege. Inside were teachers and children. Dobie had just entered the station, holding a box of donuts in his paws. But as soon as he heard the call, he immediately set it aside. This was an emergency.
When we arrived at the scene, we were met with a sight straight out of a horror movie. The Sprunkies, eerie with elongated snouts, soulless eyes, and chaotic movements, filled the entire playground. They swayed back and forth, emitting strange sounds, and looked as if they were about to lunge at anyone who came too close. Panicked adults were running in all directions. Chaos had already engulfed the building, and we knew there was no time to waste.
The first thing we needed to do was find out if there were any injured people inside. As we approached, one of the teachers informed us that all the children had barricaded themselves in the playroom on the second floor. They were scared but safe for the moment. The only problem was that they couldn't get out. The main entrance was blocked by the Sprunkies, and fire had cut off the emergency exit. The creatures were watching our every move and clearly weren't going to let us through without a fight.
We decided to split up. Labrador would distract the monsters while I tried to get inside through a window. The Sprunkies tilted their heads as Labrador pulled out a megaphone and turned the siren to maximum volume. The loud noise made them flinch. They turned toward him and began twitching rapidly, their movements growing more erratic. At that moment, I ran to the window, pulled out a crowbar, and struck the glass with all my might.
The Sprunkies saw me as a threat, and one of them lunged forward, jerking and writhing strangely. I barely managed to jump back as it reached for me with its long arms. Meanwhile, Dobie was already climbing inside. I had to hold these monsters back, or they could break into the building. I spotted a fire hydrant nearby and rushed toward it without hesitation. I needed to open it and try to douse the Sprunkies with water.
Inside the building, the atmosphere was eerie. Faint rustling sounds filled the air, and the shadows of the Sprunkies flickered behind the windows. The children huddled in a corner, trembling with fear. I promised them I'd get them out and told them to hold hands. We started making our way to the exit, but suddenly there was a loud creak. A ceiling beam collapsed, blocking our path. We needed to find another way out.
I struck the hydrant several times with my baton, and a powerful stream of water burst out. The Sprunkies shrieked as their bodies twitched violently. They recoiled, as if the water was causing them pain. I quickly scanned my surroundings, searching for a way to finally subdue them. Then an idea struck me. I could use the nearby construction cranes to trap the monsters.
We found a passage leading to an old storage room. There was a back door, but it was jammed shut. The children huddled together in fear as I tried to break it open with my shoulder. The smoke was getting thicker, the air hotter. We were running out of time. I grabbed a metal pipe and used it as a lever. The door finally gave way and we rushed outside.
The Sprunkies started moving toward us, their motions becoming sharper and more erratic. This was our last chance. I sprinted toward the construction crane, jumped into the cabin, and yanked the controls. A massive net filled with steel beams swayed in the air. The Sprunkies moved chaotically, but I had timed it perfectly. I released the load right on top of them. The beams struck their elongated bodies, knocking them down.
I saw the children running into the arms of their relieved parents, but the Sprunkies were still moving, albeit slowly. They struggled to rise, their limbs writhing. At that moment, specialists in anomalous creatures arrived. They used a special energy field, and within minutes, the monsters froze in place.
We stood there, catching our breath, watching as the specialists loaded the Sprunkies into special containers to transport them to a laboratory for further study. The children were safe, the firefighters had put out the flames, and the teachers couldn't stop thanking us. Dobie and I exchanged a glance. Another case closed.
As everything settled down, I looked at the spot where the Sprunkies had stood just moments ago. This was one of the toughest challenges we had ever faced, but the most important thing was that no one got hurt. We had done our job. And now I think it's time to head back to the station and finally finish those donuts I left behind before this crazy day began.
But just as we were about to leave, the dispatcher came through again. Another call, another danger. It looked like our day was just getting started. As soon as we arrived at the station, it was clear. Something was seriously wrong. The lights flickered, strange scraping sounds echoed from deep within the tunnel, and passengers whispered nervously, casting uneasy glances into the darkness. The train hadn't moved, and the conductor wasn't responding.
We cautiously descended, illuminating our path with flashlights. An eerie silence filled the air, broken only by the distant dripping of water. As we approached the train, a long metallic creak rang out. The doors of the carriage slowly slid open, even though no one had touched them.
We stepped inside and immediately sensed we were not alone. The dim light from our flashlights revealed rusty seats, claw marks on the walls, and dark stains on the floor. Then, at the far end of the carriage, I saw movement. A jerking, unnatural silhouette, frozen between reality and nightmare.
It was them, the Sprunkies, but in a different form. Their bodies merged with the shadows, stretching into unnatural shapes. They hovered in the air, watching us without eyes, yet with an unmistakable awareness. At that moment, I realized running wasn't an option. We would have to fight again.
One of the Sprunkies moved forward, its figure twitching in sharp, unnatural jerks, like an old broken film. I pulled out my taser and fired at the approaching creature. The electric shock coursed through its body, making it waver, but it didn't disappear. We needed another way.
I spotted the control panel near the doors. If we could restart the system, maybe the emergency lighting would help us. But before I could reach it, one of the Sprunkies lunged at me, forcing me to retreat. Its long arms stretched toward me, and a rasping sound like a whisper escaped from its throat.
I grabbed a fire extinguisher near the door and sprayed a stream of gas directly at the Sprunkies. They hissed and recoiled. Apparently, carbon dioxide affected them just like water had before. Dobie took advantage of the moment and flipped the switch. A blinding light flooded the carriage, and the Sprunkies froze as if paralyzed.
They began to dissolve, fading into the air, leaving behind only the sharp scent of metal. We found the train conductor unconscious, but he was slowly coming to. We evacuated the passengers, and the specialists who arrived later detected strange interference in the metro's electrical system.
Hello friends, it's me, Sheriff Labrador, and today we're taking on a series of challenges together with my friend Dobie.
Hey everyone! Yeah, just like Labrador said, we're playing a challenge map in Roblox. The mode is called Escape from the Dungeon.
Our first challenge is parkour on barrels over a huge lava pit. Dobie, are you ready?
Yes, Labrador, I'm ready. Phew, we made it through this challenge. Now we move on to the next one. We have to jump across wooden planks, but the most important thing is not to fall.
Dobie, how do you like this mode? I really enjoy it. The harder the challenges, the more I start loving this game.
I agree, Labrador. This map is amazing. Very well designed and detailed.
Let's move on to the next challenge. We have to run under giant spikes in time. If we don't make it, we lose.
Labrador, this is terrifying. One wrong step and it's game over.
Don't worry, Dobie. We'll get through it for sure.
We did it, Labrador, but we can't relax. There are even harder challenges ahead.
Now we're climbing up a ladder and entering a strange room filled with chests. We need to open them all and find the key to the door.
Oh, Labrador! We have to find the key to escape from this scary room.
I've opened so many chests, but still no key. Dobie, how about you?
Labrador, come here. I found the key.
Hooray, we're out!
On the next level, there are invisible traps under our feet. Labrador, we have to get through this level on our first try.
We're slowly making our way through, carefully jumping over the invisible traps.
Yes, we cleared this level on the first try. Teamwork makes anything possible.
Now we have to climb down giant wooden beams, but we can't fall. There's poisonous water below, and if we fall, we lose.
I agree, Labrador. We can't afford to lose now.
Dobie, we're so close to beating this level.
Yes, Labrador. We're almost there, and we did it. We're moving on to the next challenge. Let's grab the checkpoint. Up next is parkour on rocks, but if we fall, we'll get crushed and lose.
Oh no, Dobie, we fell. Is this the end?
Don't worry, Labrador. That's why we took the checkpoint. We have another chance.
Yes, we did it and we're moving forward.
We finished the parkour, and a boulder pushed us straight into the next challenge.
Now we have to jump from rock to rock at super speed. Below us is a huge sea of acid. If we fall, we lose.
Phew, Labrador, we made it through this level.
Hello, friends. Today, Dobie and I decided to test our skills in a new obby parkour in Roblox. This mode was designed especially for us. It looks incredible. All the obstacles are as bright as a rainbow, but it seems we're in for a serious challenge. Guys, give us a like right now if you think we can handle it.
Hi, everyone. Labrador isn't kidding. These rainbow platforms are stunning, but just try to stay on them. I already tripped on the first rainbow path, and it seemed to laugh at me. I hope we can get through all the levels without any losses. Labrador, are you ready?
Of course, I'm ready, Dobie. Although after the first jump, I felt like I was back in puppy school, trying to leap over puddles after the rain. But here, instead of puddles, there are entire oceans of colorful platforms. But honestly, it's so much fun that you forget how difficult it is.
I think I'm starting to understand why they made this mode for us, to test how we handle rainbow jumps. Labrador, did you see that narrow platform? It has already become my personal enemy. And these rainbow paths, they're like a rainbow ribbon, except you have to run on it instead of admiring it.
Yes, Dobie, this parkour isn't for the faint-hearted. It's funny how we, experienced sheriffs, are struggling with these rainbow stripes, but it sure lifts the spirits. Every time I manage not to fall, it feels like a small victory. Look, I finally jumped over that tricky rainbow.
Wow, Labrador, you're a real rainbow master, and I'm here trying not to slide off this spiral staircase. Well, friends, I hope you're enjoying watching us tackle these rainbow challenges. We won't stop until we reach the end.
And here we are again, almost at the end of this rainbow course. Friends, this is a real challenge for both of us, but it's so much more fun to go through all these obstacles together with you. I hope our falls and funny moments bring a smile to your face.
Absolutely! Every fall is an opportunity to start over and, of course, a reason to laugh. I just slid off this slippery rainbow path again, but I feel like I'm starting to become a real parkour master. Rainbow parkour has definitely become our new favorite game. What other Roblox maps would you like to see on our channel? Leave a comment and make sure to hit the like button.
Our Animal City has always been famous for its green parks and cozy streets, but one morning everything changed. I woke up to see that the rain had turned rainbow-colored. Everything around, from trees to cars, was painted in bright, shimmering colors. The water in the river became multicolored, and even the food in the stores took on rainbow hues. Our homes and buildings looked as if they had been painted with a magical brush. It was beautiful, but unnatural. Dobie and I realized that this was not just a natural phenomenon, but something more mysterious and possibly dangerous.
At first, we thought it was the work of some prankster or scientist like Professor Colorful, but it soon became clear that the reason was much more serious. We began our investigation and discovered that this was something new and unknown. We received reports from residents who had seen strange creatures resembling horned horses flying over the city. Then it became clear we were under attack by unicorns. These mythical creatures wanted to take over our city, and their power could change the entire environment.
As it turned out, the unicorns didn't just want to decorate our city. They wanted to transform it completely for their needs. We began looking for a way to communicate with them to understand their intentions and prevent a possible catastrophe. We found their leader, a majestic white unicorn named Astrid. He explained that their world was dying, and they were looking for a new place to live. They chose our city because it seemed perfect to them. But their methods were too aggressive, and this could destroy our way of life.
We realized we needed to find a compromise. We offered to help the unicorns find another place where they could live without destroying our city. Labrador suggested using the city's technology to create a safe and comfortable place for the unicorns. We worked together with city scientists and wizards to create a special sanctuary where the unicorns could live in peace and safety without harming others.
Our efforts were successful. We showed the unicorns the new place, specially created for them, where they could live happily. Astrid was impressed by our kindness and willingness to help. The unicorns agreed to leave our city and move to the new sanctuary. Gradually, the rainbow colors began to fade, and our city returned to its usual appearance. The unicorns, grateful for our understanding and assistance, promised to maintain peace and friendship with us.
So, we managed to prevent the takeover of our city and help creatures in need of a new home. This story taught us that peace and cooperation can solve even the most complex problems. The townspeople were happy to see the familiar colors return, and were proud that we had dealt with such an unusual threat. Our city became calm again, but we will always remember the Rainbow Day when unicorns attacked us.
Recently, a true champion arrived in our city, a leopard named Speed. He was known in the neighboring towns for his outstanding results in races and sprints. His arrival was a real sensation. In honor of this, we decided to hold a city competition to see who the fastest among us really is. Our streets were filled with excitement and anticipation, but the most determined one turned out not to be me, but Dobie. He was set on winning, despite his usually calm nature. Dobie was sure he could beat the leopard.
Of course, I couldn't pass up the chance to show my speed, but I knew that I couldn't just beat a champion like the leopard without something special to give me energy. At the store, I found some energy drinks and started drinking them. At first, it seemed like a simple way to get extra strength, but with each sip, I felt my energy increasing. I was filled with confidence that I could win.
Everything was ready for the start of the competition. We began with a light warm-up, and I noticed that Dobie started to look a little unusual. His eyes were sparkling, and his behavior became much more energetic. He was determined. But when the race started, no one expected him to run so fast. Dobie not only caught up with all the participants, but at one point, he almost matched the leopard's speed. And in the end, he overtook him. Everyone was in shock. Even I, the sheriff, who was always confident in our city, couldn't believe my eyes.
After the win, I felt incredible. My energy was at its peak, and I was so proud of myself. But after a few days, I began to notice that something wasn't right. My energy didn't fade, and I felt really anxious. I couldn't sleep and felt a lot of tension in my body. Then Labrador insisted I visit the doctor. We went to see a rabbit doctor who was an expert in such cases.
The rabbit doctor immediately examined Dobie and ran some tests. It turned out that excessive consumption of energy drinks had caused Dobie's body to stop functioning normally. He was on the verge of exhaustion. The doctor prescribed rest, a balanced diet, and plenty of water to bring him back to normal. Dobie was a bit embarrassed, but understood that it wasn't wise to overdo it with such things. In the end, everything turned out fine, and Dobie became his usual calm and balanced self again. But now he knows that victories aren't just about speed, but also about taking care of your body.
Now I know for sure that health is more important than any victory. I won the competition, but I had to learn from my mistakes. Thanks to Labrador and the rabbit doctor for their help. Next time, I'll train for the competition the right way, without any shortcuts, just using my own strength.
Recently, a strange and terrifying story unfolded in our city. It all began when a new ice cream vendor appeared. He was mysterious and a bit odd. His cart was decorated with bright flags, and he always wore a black suit with dark sunglasses. But something was off. The townspeople started noticing that after children bought ice cream from him, they would disappear. At first, it was just a one-time event, but soon several children went missing, and it became terrifying. Dobie and I immediately started an investigation.
At first, we thought the children might have just run away or gotten into trouble. But the more we kept an eye on the ice cream vendor, the clearer it became that something was wrong with him. We noticed that his van was always parked in the dark corners of the city, and his ice cream had a strange smell. People said it had some unusual flavor, but no one could quite figure out what it was. I decided to take action. Labrador and I went on a night patrol to find out what was really going on.
We tracked him down and found the van on the outskirts of the city. Inside was dark, and the ice cream vendor was standing, laughing, and preparing something behind the counter. As we got closer, we heard strange sounds, like children saying something from inside the van. It was way too suspicious. We decided to act quickly to prevent any more disappearances. Dobie, as always, was determined, and we prepared for a raid.
We brought everything we needed to make sure the ice cream vendor couldn't escape. The van was full of frozen ice creams, but in one corner, we found a large freezer. To our horror, inside we found the missing children. They were in a strange trance, sitting in dark corners as if under hypnosis. It turned out that the ice cream vendor was using a special type of ice cream that made the children succumb to his influence, causing them to disappear and become his hostages. We quickly freed the children and called for help.
And so our adventure comes to an end, friends. Dobie and I managed to do so many exciting things, but now it's time to say goodbye. It's been an awesome time, hasn't it?